Welcome to Equestrian Fitness for the Long Ride with the Sweaty Equestrian. I'm personal trainer and endurance rider Tamara Baysinger, and I'm here to help you ride stronger in a day and longer in your life. Hey rider, welcome back to the podcast. As I record this, I am sitting here slightly sore in my quadriceps muscles because on Saturday morning I ran a local 10K trail race. It's the Owyhee River Challenge. It's one that I do pretty much every year. And actually, I normally run the half marathon, but this year I decided to go shorter and faster. And I really like this event because it takes place on some of the exact same trails where I condition my endurance horses. It starts in this little Oregon town along the Snake River, but very quickly turns onto a dirt 2-track that goes up a hill, and you climb for literally 2 miles straight, just up and up and up. And I have to say, I love the feeling of settling into a slow but steady kind of low gear trot and chugging up that hill. And I ended up passing a ton of people who started out hot and got out ahead, but then they ran out of steam on the hill. Now, I'm not really a great or competitive runner or anything, but it is satisfying to see that slow and consistent work totally pays off. Anyway, the trail loops back around toward town eventually, and I took the downhill stretch pretty fast for me, about a 7 to 7.5 minute mile pace, which is why my quads are sore. But I finished 4th female in my age group, which I was happy with, especially since I'm close to the top end of that age group, and I was 17th out of all 142 women. But anyway, way better than that. I just love what feels to me like this deep sense of fairness when I climb that hill on my own 2 feet after, a year of asking my horses to carry me up it so many times. It's a really satisfying thing that I'm honestly so grateful to be able to do. Anyway, let's talk about equestrian fitness for the long ride, shall we? Today, I want to share some thoughts about what to consider when you realize that you maybe need to be boosting your fitness as a rider, but you aren't sure where to begin. Because if you've ever thought about working on your fitness for riding, chances are that you have also run into the same problem that a lot of riders do. There are a million different directions you could go, and it's hard to know where to start. There are rider-specific fitness programs, Pilates for riders, yoga for riders, core workouts for riders, balance exercises, mobility routines, strength training plans, cardio programs. And there are plenty of random exercises on YouTube that are supposedly going to transform your riding. And if you're a busy person, which, let's be honest, most riders are, that can get overwhelming pretty quickly. Because you're not just wondering whether fitness matters. Most riders already know that it does. And the older we get, the more apparent that reality becomes. But the first question you run into is super practical. What should I actually do? What matters the most? Where do I start if I want this to help my riding? And I don't want to waste my very limited time doing a bunch of stuff that sounds relevant but doesn't really move the needle. So that's what I want to talk about today. And the answer that I'm going to give you may be a little different from what you expect because I coach riders. But when I coach riders, I generally do not start with the most riding specific thing possible. Instead, I start by helping them build a foundation of general fitness first. Now, this isn't because rider-specific work is useless. It's not. It absolutely can be helpful. But because rider-specific fitness tends to work a whole lot better when it's built on top of a stronger, fitter, more capable human body, I like to start with building that more capable body as a foundation. I also start there because for many of the things riders care most about, like feeling better in their bodies, having less fatigue, improved body composition or weight management, getting stronger, aging well, and staying in the saddle for years to come, rider-specific exercise by itself is often not enough to achieve those other goals. So today, I want to help you think through where to start with rider fitness, what actually matters most in the beginning, and how to tell whether a program is likely to be useful or if it just sounds the part. So now, to be clear, I'm talking here about the kind of rider fitness we work on when we're not in the saddle, the exercise that will support our riding skill. Because nobody is claiming that being fit all by itself is going to magically give you the ability to ride well. I mean, riding is a nuanced skill that needs to be practiced actually in the saddle, on the horse, and ideally with a great coach to help you build that specific skill. I mean, being able to back squat your body weight or race a 10K is not going to make you a skilled rider. But here's what it will do. It will make you better able to use your riding skill. So let's talk about where riders should start when it comes to building fitness apart from actually riding. I think that one reason rider fitness gets confusing is that a lot of the options out there start at the top. They start with the most visible, most sport-specific, and immediately recognizable layer. You know, exercises that look like riding, or they're done on unstable surfaces, or they're marketed specifically to riders because they mimic what you do in terms of riding position or movement. And I understand why that appeals to people. It feels relevant. It feels specific. It feels efficient and like you're cutting to the chase. But just because something looks specific doesn't mean it's the best place to begin. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. If your body does not yet have a strong foundation of stability, strength, endurance, general athletic capacity, then all the rider-specific work in the world is going to be layered on top of a base that just isn't very robust. It's a little bit like asking a horse to pee off before he is capable of collection, or trying to decorate a house before the structure is finished. The top layer may be more exciting, and it might seem to be closer to your ultimate goal, but it's going to crumble if you don't solve the deeper limitation. And for a lot of riders, the deeper limitation is not actually that they haven't found the perfect rider-specific drill. It's that they get tired too quickly. They lose position when they're fatigued. They don't have the strength to support good posture. They don't have enough stability to control their body consistently. They don't have enough general conditioning to stay effective late in a ride, late in a lesson, late in a long weekend of riding, or frankly, late in life. And that is where general fitness comes in. Now, when I say general fitness, I don't mean becoming a gym rat. I don't mean chasing some random version of being fit for its own sake, unless you want to, of course. And I don't mean spending hours doing workouts that have nothing to do with your life or your riding goals. What I do mean is developing the broad physical qualities that make you a more capable athlete overall. Things like stability, strength, aerobic endurance, some higher end cardiovascular fitness, like really hard interval work, the ability to produce force, the ability to control your body in nuanced ways, and the ability to keep doing physical work for a long time without getting exhausted. These are not extra qualities that sit off to the side from riding. Instead, they're actually the qualities that support your ability to ride well in the first place. They help you maintain your position. They help you stay more organized in your body. They help you resist fatigue and recover better and tolerate the demands of riding and barn life and competition and travel and everything else that comes with being an equestrian. And importantly, they also matter for those things that go beyond riding. Because most adult riders, let's face it, we're not just trying to become more effective in the saddle. We also want to stay strong and lean and energetic and capable as we age. That matters too, and it should. So when someone comes to me and says, I want to improve my fitness for riding, I'm usually thinking less about what looks the most horse-specific and more about what will give them the biggest return on their effort, on their limited time. What is going to improve the body that they bring to the saddle? What is going to create meaningful change at a foundational level? What is going to carry over not just to riding, but to daily life, to weight management, to longevity? Because that's going to circle right back to better riding, both now and for decades to come. That's why I start with general fitness first. If we improve your strength and stability and endurance, your overall physical capacity, then a lot of good things start happening at once. You're harder to fatigue, you hold yourself together better, you can hold your horse together better, and you just have more options physically. You're safer, you're less injury prone. You can absorb and express rider-specific skills better because you're not operating right at the edge of your physical capacity all the time. That's a huge point, and I honestly don't think it gets discussed enough. A lot of people assume that if an exercise is more riding specific, it must automatically be more useful for riding. But the level of usefulness depends on what is limiting you. And if what is limiting you is poor stamina, low strength, weak core control, poor lower body strength or imbalances that tend to come with riding, by the way, or just an overall fitness base, then a narrow rider-specific set of exercises may not actually address the things that are holding you back the most. Now, I want to be clear here because I am not saying that rider-specific work is pointless. There absolutely is a place for it. I do it myself. Once you have some foundation underneath you, rider-specific work can be super useful for connecting that general fitness back to the specific demands of riding. That might mean working on control in asymmetrical positions. It might mean building adductor strength or endurance and abductor strength to balance it out and keep you able to swing your leg over your horse as you age. It might mean rotational control and anti-rotational strength. It might mean certain balance challenges. It might mean building awareness and coordination in patterns that show up more clearly in the saddle. And that is all good stuff. But I tend to see rider-specific work as the layer that you build onto a solid base. It's not the entire structure. Because if you skip the base, the rider-specific part just doesn't have a whole lot to grab onto. Or to put it another way, the more general qualities need to be there first, so the specific qualities have somewhere to live. In fact, you'll see this practice across all kinds of skill-intensive sports, like, football or tennis. Smart athletes build a broad base of all-around fitness to support their sport-specific skills and counteract the imbalances that would otherwise develop. Why would we equestrians be any different? This matters even when riders are trying not only to improve their position or effectiveness in the saddle, but also wanting those extras, those changes in body composition, like losing body fat, when you want to get stronger or be more energetic or counteract long-term health conditions. Because this is where a lot of rider-specific fitness content falls short. It may be helpful for awareness and activation, connecting with certain muscles. It's really helpful as accessory work, but it's often not enough of a training stimulus to create major changes in things like your muscle mass, your cardiovascular fitness, your metabolic health, or your body composition. And honestly, that is not a small issue. Especially for women who are in perimenopause and beyond, general fitness done well can do a lot of heavy lifting in the background for how you look, feel, and perform, both in the saddle and out. Strength training helps preserve and build muscle, and we all know that we start to lose that really fast once we hit our 40s. Zone 2 cardio improves aerobic fitness and supports heart health. And we know that heart health is a big issue in women, even though it doesn't get talked about as much as it does in men. We know that more intense cardio intervals can help with your VO2 max, and that makes you capable of higher level efforts that you otherwise wouldn't be able to maintain as you age. Stability and balance work help you remain confident in your body instead of feeling kind of fragile or hesitant as you get older. And the whole package, doing all of this stuff, supports insulin sensitivity, energy expenditure, resilience, confidence, function. So if someone is only doing low intensity, very narrow rider specific exercise and expecting that that's going to help them get leaner, stronger, fitter, more age-proof, they may end up disappointed. Not because rider-specific work is bad, but because it's being asked to do jobs that it's not always well suited to do on its own. So one way I think about rider fitness is as a pyramid. At the base, picture a pyramid like, in Egypt. At the base, the broadest bottom level, you have stability and endurance. Stability meaning your ability to control your body well, to manage your body's position in space, to resist unwanted movement, to organize your movement and hold things together. And endurance is your aerobic base and your general capacity to keep going without deteriorating quickly. Now, if those things are weak, everything else above them in the pyramid gets shakier. Up from that base level of the pyramid, kind of in the middle of that triangle as it rises toward the sky, I would put strength and VO2 max. Strength gives you more force-producing capacity, more resilience, more reserve. It raises the ceiling on what you can physically do, and it makes submaximal tasks feel easier. VO2 max similarly makes less than a maximum effort feel easier because VO2 max represents your high-end cardiovascular capacity, your ability to perform harder work and recover more effectively and have more athletic horsepower of your own when you need it. So you've got stability and endurance on the bottom layer of the pyramid. And then as the pyramid rises up, you've got strength and VO2 max. And then for the peak at the top, at the very top of the pyramid, that's where I would put power and rider-specific expression. Power is how quickly you can produce force, and that matters for athleticism, safety among large prey animals that might jump on us, responsiveness, and preserving high function capacity as we age. And rider-specific expression, also up there at the peak of the pyramid, this is where all those underlying qualities get organized into what you actually do on the horse. Balance in motion, applying aids, following motion, that independent seat, staying effective, reacting appropriately, maintaining position and control under changing circumstances, sometimes quickly changing circumstances, right? That is the top of the pyramid. And I think where a lot of riders get stuck is that they want to start at the top. And that makes sense. The top is the sport we care about. But if the base is underdeveloped, the top is limited. Think how short your pyramid's going to be if you only build the top layer, that little pointed bit that sits on the top. Compare that to a pyramid with a broad base underneath, a foundation that lifts the point much higher than it could ever be on its own. Your riding can only express what your underlying fitness can support. Your riding can only express what your underlying fitness can support. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed by this idea of rider fitness, here are my honest thoughts. Start with the qualities that give you the biggest return across the board. Ride, of course. Work on that skill, but also build your general fitness. And you don't have to worry about doing everything at once. You don't have to work out 7 days a week. You don't have to become obsessed with exercise and spend hours and hours in the gym, but you do need to build a simple, progressive foundation. And for most riders, that's probably going to look like some combination of two to three strength training sessions per week. If this is new to you, we're going to start with stability. We're going to learn correct movement patterns. And then slowly we'll begin to add some load. And that's where the magic happens. I see this time and again with riders. If they're willing to put in the time to learn how to strength train with me, they see tremendous benefits in their riding, in their weight management, in their general health, in their blood numbers, all the things. It's quite remarkable. But you have to start at a place that's appropriate for you. You lay that foundation and then you build on it. Now, we're also going to do some aerobic work. This is what we call zone 2, or exercise at an effort level of about 4 out of 10, if 10 is as hard as you can go. Depending on who you are and any limitations that you might have, maybe that's running, like I enjoy doing, but very likely it's something else, even something non-weight bearing, that can give you that aerobic benefit while staying easy on your joints. There are all kinds of different ways to do this, and we start as gently as we need to, but we don't stay there any longer than necessary. We include enough progression that your body actually has a reason to adapt and get better. And that last part matters a lot. Pay attention to that, because one of the biggest problems in fitness generally, and rider fitness specifically, is doing work that feels relevant, but it's not progressive enough to create change. You know, if you do the same routine over and over, you may feel good that you did it, but your body has very little reason to become stronger or fitter or more capable of doing more, I should say. So when you're trying to decide where to start, first look for a program that focuses on comprehensive physical development, stability, endurance, strength, power, agility, but you work into those things. We start with the base of the pyramid, stability and endurance. Then we move up towards strength and power and agility at a rate that's appropriate for you, but we do move through. Because a progression, here's the second thing, the progression is built in. It's not just a collection of exercises. Remember, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. Or as I often remind my coaching clients, you have to progress to make progress. So first, you look for a program that focuses on comprehensive physical development in a progressive manner. And we also want to look for something that recognizes that most adult riders need more from their fitness program than just nuanced riding skill. We also care about weight management, healthy aging, energy, confidence, and long-term function. So why not get those benefits at the same time? If you're sitting here thinking, okay, but I still feel behind, I don't know exactly what to do, here's what I would tell you. Put your top priority on strength training 2 to 3 times per week. Even a half hour per session is enough. Start as easy as you need to so that you can learn without injury, and then make sure that you gradually move up the difficulty level so your body has a reason to change. As a second priority, add in some cardiovascular fitness training. 30 to 60 minutes a week is a good place to start. If you're new at it, work on that level 4 out of 10 effort as a base. And again, remember to work up from there so that you can handle more intense effort and get the most benefit. So there you have 3 to 5 half-hour workouts per week, prioritizing strength training first because that's going to get you the very best bang for your workout buck. Yes, even if weight loss is a goal. And then you add cardio as a second priority. You can do this at a gym or you can do it on your own. Or if you want some specific guidance on how to go about it day by day with follow-along workouts from absolute beginner to competitive rider, that's why I developed my Essential Equestrian Fitness program. And you can learn about that at thesweatyequestrian.com/fitness. This is the kind of fitness that improves you as an athlete overall. Build a stronger, more capable body, and then teach that body to express those abilities well in the saddle. Because when your general fitness improves, your rider-specific work is going to stick better. And beyond riding, the same kind of training can do more for your weight management, your confidence, your health, your longevity than a set of narrow rider-specific drills can ever do. That doesn't mean that rider-specific work has no place. It just means that it works best as the top layer, not the whole foundation. So if you've been overwhelmed by all the options out there, hopefully that gives you a simpler way to think about it. You just have to start where the return is highest. And for most riders, that means building the base first. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend. And I will talk to you again soon about how you can ride stronger in a day and longer in your life. Want to get more sweaty? Subscribe to my newsletter at thesweatyequestrian.com/newsletter. And remember, you have what it takes to be a full athletic partner for your horse. Saddle up strong.